The bell above the old wooden door jingled softly as Emma Dawson stepped into the tiny store that once belonged to her parents. Dust floated in slanted rays of sunlight, and the faint smell of aged wood and forgotten dreams lingered in the air. She paused for a moment, clutching the rusty keys in her trembling hand, her heart torn between memories and uncertainty. The faded sign outside still read, "Dawson's General Goods." It had once been the pride of the small town of Maple Ridge. But after her parents' passing and her brother Luke's departure to the city, the shop had been left to decay, just like the bond between the siblings. Emma hadn't planned to come back. After years of working long shifts as a nurse, scraping by in another town, she returned home only because there was nothing left to lose. Her marriage had ended quietly, her savings were gone, and her heart was tired. The shop, with its broken shelves and dusty floor, was the only thing left that still bore her family's name. And even though it looked like a ruin, a quiet voice inside whispered that maybe, just maybe, it could be her way to start again. A week later, Luke arrived. He stood at the door in his city coat, polished shoes sinking into the gravel. His expression was unreadable as he looked around the old store. "It's falling apart, Em," he said flatly. "We should just sell it." Emma turned to him, exhaustion mixed with determination. "It's all we have left of Mom and Dad. Selling it feels like erasing them." Luke sighed. "Memories don't pay bills." He turned to leave, but she caught his arm gently. "No," she said, her voice trembling but firm, "but maybe love does." That night, as the siblings sat on the dusty floor with a lantern flickering between them, old wounds surfaced. They talked about how life had separated them, how Luke had left after high school chasing success, while Emma had stayed behind to care for their parents. There were regrets, sharp and unspoken, hanging between them like ghosts. But somewhere in that silence, forgiveness began to take root. Days turned into weeks. Against all odds, they decided to restore the shop. Not as a regular store, but as something meaningful, a place where people could donate used items, and those in need could take what they required for free or at little cost. They called it, the Shop of Second Chances. Emma came up with the name one morning as she looked at an old mirror they found in the attic. "It's what this town needs," she said softly. "And what we need too." At first, people were skeptical. Maple Ridge was small, and gossip moved faster than kindness. Some whispered that the Dawsons were trying to profit from pity. Others said it was a foolish dream. But Emma and Luke kept working, painting, cleaning, sorting, and welcoming everyone who came through their door with warmth. Slowly, the shelves began to fill with donated clothes, books, toys, and furniture. The town's forgotten hearts began to beat again. One day, an elderly man named Mr. Carter limped into the shop. His eyes were downcast, his hands trembling as he searched through the shelves for a winter coat. Emma approached him gently. "Please, take whatever you need," she said with a smile. He hesitated. "I don't have much to give in return," he murmured. "Then give a smile," she replied softly. "That's enough for today." The old man's eyes glistened, and for the first time in years, he smiled. He left with a coat, and a piece of his dignity restored. But the true test came when a fire broke out in one of the nearby houses, leaving a family of 4 homeless. The next morning, Emma and Luke opened the shop early, turning it into a refuge. Neighbors poured in with donations, blankets, clothes, food, even furniture. Within hours, the family had everything they needed. Luke stood in awe as the small town he once thought indifferent came together like a single heartbeat. That night, he told Emma quietly, "I used to think success meant leaving this place behind. Now I think maybe, it's about being needed." She looked at him, eyes glistening, and whispered, "We both needed a second chance." The shop flourished. Soon, it wasn't just about giving things, it became a space for connection. People came to share stories, seek comfort, and volunteer. A single mother started baking muffins to give away at the counter every Sunday. Teenagers helped carry donations after school. A veteran fixed broken furniture to donate to families starting over. And through it all, Emma and Luke worked side by side, rediscovering not only their purpose but each other. Then, one stormy evening, as rain lashed against the windows, Emma received devastating news. Mr. Carter, the elderly man she had once helped, had passed away. When she attended his funeral, she discovered something that left her speechless. In his will, Mr. Carter had left a small sum of money to the shop of second chances, along with a note, "You gave me back more than warmth. You gave me my faith in people." Emma wept silently, clutching the letter to her chest. Months passed, and Luke came up with an idea to use Mr. Carter's donation to start a small scholarship for underprivileged kids in the town. "Education," he said, "is the biggest second chance there is." The first recipient was a shy 16-year-old girl named Maya, whose father had lost his job. When they handed her the letter of acceptance, she burst into tears and hugged both siblings tightly. One day, she whispered, "I'll pay this forward." That was the moment Emma realized that their parents' dream had never died, it had simply evolved. As seasons changed, the shop's walls became covered with thank you notes, photos, and stories. A worn-out typewriter in one corner became a letter station, where visitors could write anonymous words of gratitude or apology. Some letters read, "Thank you for believing in me," while others said simply, "I'm sorry." Those scraps of paper turned into silent prayers pinned to the heart of the store. But not everything was smooth. One winter, the shop was broken into. Shelves were ransacked, and donations stolen. Luke was furious. "All we've done for this town, and this is how they repay us," he shouted. Emma, with tears in her eyes, said quietly, "Maybe whoever did this needed a second chance too." Her compassion disarmed his anger. Instead of pressing charges, they placed a small note on the door that read, "To whoever took what wasn't theirs, if you're in trouble, come back. We'll help you." A week later, a young man returned, trembling and ashamed. He confessed to the theft, explaining that he'd lost his job and had nowhere to go. Instead of punishing him, Luke offered him a part-time job helping at the store. That young man, Ethan, would later become one of their most dedicated volunteers. "You didn't just give me work," he once told Emma, "you gave me my life back." The cycle of giving continued, proof that compassion could heal even what anger could not. Years later, the once forgotten building that had been destined for demolition now stood as the heart of Maple Ridge. The faded letters of Dawson's General Goods had been replaced by a new sign, the Shop of Second Chances. The paint gleamed in the sun, but what truly made it shine was the laughter and hope that filled it. Every visitor had a story, and every story found a home. One crisp autumn morning, Emma stood outside the shop as a group of children helped Luke hang a banner for the shop's 5th anniversary. The air smelled of cinnamon and fresh paint. A local journalist had come to interview them for a feature story, asking, "What inspired you to start all this?" Emma paused, her gaze soft. "We just needed to believe that no mistake, no loss, no person is beyond redemption," she said. "This shop isn't about things, it's about people." That evening, as the sun dipped low and golden light bathed the storefront, Emma and Luke sat on the steps watching families leave with smiles. The bell above the door jingled one last time before closing, echoing like a memory of beginnings and endings intertwined. "Do you ever miss the city?" Emma asked. Luke shook his head with a gentle smile. "No, I think I finally found where I belong." She leaned her head on his shoulder, eyes glistening. "You know, I used to think this shop was about helping others," she said softly. "But I think it saved us too." Luke nodded. "Yeah," he whispered. "It really did." As dusk settled over Maple Ridge, the glow from the shop window spilled onto the quiet street like a beacon, a light for anyone who'd ever lost their way. Inside, a small sign above the counter read, "Greater than, everyone deserves a second chance." And perhaps that was the truest thing of all. Moral message. Redemption isn't found in perfection, it's found in compassion. When we choose to give others and ourselves another chance, we become the bridge between brokenness and hope.